Have you ever felt lost in a sales meeting when someone says a ballpark figure or a dime a dozen? If you don't know what they mean, you're not alone. We've launched a brand new podcast to dive deep into the most common business English expressions called idioms. You will hear them in sales and marketing conversations, job interviews, consulting, and project meetings, everywhere in business. If you're ready to learn and use these common business idiom expressions, if you are ready to sound more natural and confident and impress your colleagues, keep watching. I've got something amazing for you. This ebook, Advanced Business English Idioms, a visual guide, is the focus of our chat. It's packed with visuals, real-world examples of using English idioms in everyday business situations. There is even audio guidance so you can use each phrase perfectly. Use the link in the description to get your copy on Amazon. It's a real game changer. Ready to sound more natural, impress your team, and close those deals? Join us on the podcast where we break it all down with visuals, real-life examples, and even pronunciation tips.
Business English Idioms, a secret code that can make or break your career in the corporate world. Today, we're cracking that code wide open.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've been in a meeting, nodding along while secretly thinking, what on earth are they talking about? It's like everyone's speaking in some kind of secret language. So first of all, what are English idioms?
English idioms are special phrases or expressions that don't mean exactly what the words say, but instead have a hidden or unique meaning. They're like secret codes that people use to make their language more fun or colorful.
I see.
Well, that's exactly why we're diving into the ebook Advanced Business English Idioms, a visual guide today. It's a fantastic resource designed to help English learners and business professionals navigate the tricky world of business English expressions.
That sounds incredibly useful. In the world of international business, mastering these idioms can really be a game changer, can't it?
Absolutely. This book breaks down these expressions so clearly, making them easy to understand and remember. It uses clear visuals, real-world examples, and even includes audio recordings to help with pronunciation. It's like having a native English speaker right there with you explaining everything.
So, if we're going to dive into some of these idioms, where should we start?
Let's kick things off with one that's fundamental to the business world. 9 to 5. This refers to the traditional 8-hour workday, with everyone arriving at the office at 9 a.m. and leaving at 5 p.m. It's become synonymous with a standard structured work schedule.
That's interesting. I've heard that phrase before, but I never really thought about its origin. How might this be used in a business context?
Well, you might hear someone say, "We need to put in a solid 9 to 5 to meet this deadline." It's all about emphasizing hard work and commitment to getting the job done. Interestingly, a study by the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that only about 15% of wage and salary workers actually work a traditional 9 to 5 schedule.
Wow, that's surprisingly low. Speaking of work environments, what about idioms that describe team dynamics?
Great question. Let's look at an idiom that highlights how one person can sometimes cause damage to a whole team. A bad apple. It's like that saying, one rotten apple can spoil the whole bunch. In a team or company context, it means that one person with a bad attitude or poor work ethic can negatively impact everyone around them.
Oh, I can definitely see how that would apply in a workplace setting. Do you have an example of how it might be used?
The book gives a great example in a project team context. We need to address this issue quickly because one bad apple can spoil the whole project or sales team. It really highlights the importance of creating a positive and supportive work environment. In fact, a study by Harvard Business Review found that just one toxic employee can cost a company more than $12,000 in lost productivity and increased turnover.
That's a staggering figure. It really drives home the importance of addressing these issues quickly. Now, what about idioms related to market dynamics?
Let's talk about a big fish in a small pond. Picture a large goldfish swimming around in a tiny bowl. That's the essence of this idiom. It describes someone or a company that's really successful in a limited environment but might struggle in a larger, more competitive market.
I like that visual. How might this be used in a business context?
Well, the book gives an example of a company dominant in its local market, but considering international expansion. Our company may be a big fish here, but expanding internationally will be a whole new ballgame. It's a good reminder that success in one context doesn't automatically transfer to another. This is particularly relevant in today's global economy, where companies are increasingly looking to expand internationally.
That's a great point. I imagine this could apply to personal career moves as well, right?
Absolutely. If you're thinking about moving to a bigger company or a new industry, it's crucial to consider how your skills and experience will translate to that new environment. You might be a star performer in your current role, but a larger or more competitive setting could present new challenges.
That's definitely something to keep in mind when considering career moves. Now, what about idioms we might hear in financial discussions?
Great question. One you'll hear all the time in budget meetings is a ballpark figure. This simply means an approximate estimate, not an exact number. It's about giving a rough idea of cost, revenue, or salary expectations.
So, in a job interview, you might ask the hiring manager for a ballpark figure of the salary for the position.
Exactly right. You're not expecting an exact number, just a general idea or reasonable range to work with. This idiom is particularly useful in the early stages of planning when you're just trying to get a sense of the scope and budget of a project. It allows for flexibility and avoids getting bogged down in too many details too early.
That makes sense. It's a way to start the conversation without committing to specifics right away. Are there any idioms that relate to decision making?
Oh, absolutely. Here's one that's all about making wise decisions. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I love this one because it's about appreciating what you already have, the certainty of a current situation, rather than chasing after something that might be uncertain or risky.
How does the book apply this to a business context?
The book connects this to client relationships, saying, let's focus on nurturing our current clients. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. It's a good reminder that in a world constantly pushing us toward growth and acquisition, sometimes consolidating and strengthening what you already have is actually the smarter move. In fact, studies have shown that it can cost up to 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one.
That's a valuable perspective. It's easy to get caught up in always chasing the next big thing. Are there any idioms that help with reframing setbacks?
Absolutely. Let's talk about a blessing in disguise. This one might sound counterintuitive, but it suggests that something that initially seems negative can actually lead to a positive outcome in the long run. For instance, losing a client might force you to diversify your product offerings or explore new markets, which could ultimately lead to greater success.
Oh, I can see how that could be useful in business. Can you give an example of how it's used?
Sure. The book puts it this way. Losing that client was a blessing in disguise. It forced us to diversify our product offerings. It's about shifting perspective and recognizing that obstacles can sometimes push us in new and unexpected directions. This mindset can be crucial in business, where adaptability is often key to success.
That's a great mindset to have. It's all about finding the silver lining, isn't it? Now, as we're wrapping up, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share about the importance of mastering these idioms?
Absolutely. Mastering these expressions can be a real game changer in your career. They allow you to communicate more effectively, understand nuanced conversations, and even build stronger relationships with colleagues and clients. It's not just about knowing the words, but understanding the cultural context and appropriate usage of these idioms.
That's a great point. It's really about becoming fluent in the language of business, isn't it?
Exactly. And remember, like any skill, it takes practice. Don't be afraid to use these idioms in your own conversations, even if you're not 100% sure at first. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become. And always be open to learning new expressions. The world of business English is constantly evolving.
This has been such an enlightening discussion. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on business communication.
Well, I'm glad you found it valuable. Remember, for anyone looking to dive deeper into this topic, the Advanced Business English Idioms, a visual guide, is an excellent resource. It's a real treasure trove of knowledge that can help you take your business communication skills to the next level. And you can get a copy for yourself at the Amazon link in the podcast description below. So, until next time, keep your ear to the ground and your nose to the grindstone.
Ha! That was fun. And don't forget to think outside the box while you're at it.